இந்த பையன் போறானு போயிட்டானா சுரேஷ்?
Participants, please turn.
வர சொல்ல
Good evening, all. Nicodemus, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we can start the session. Good evening, sister.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sister.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening,
Ma'am, shall I
sister.
start, ma'am?
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Sister, shall I start, sister?
Yes, sir.
Prayer should be the key of the day and lock of the night. To start a webinar with the richest blessing of God, the Almighty, I kindly request our administrator, Sister Santiago Mary, to lead us towards the presence of God.
Good evening, dear participants. Let's all bow our heads for a moment for invoking God's blessing. My grace is sufficient for you. God, our loving Father, we praise and thank you for this precious day and pleasant evening. As we are gathered, all of us, to know about something. Thank you, Lord, for giving this good opportunity, good chance. Though there are many persons not able to even spend their time happily, but you have given us this wonderful time for us to listen to the resource person to learn something. Thank you, Lord. Loving Father, I ask you to bless all the participants, especially I also ask you to bless our principal, our staff members in a special way. The head of the department, Mrs. Vedavali, the staff members who are organizing this program. May all of them find peace and joy. And as you have the wisdom of knowledge, impart us with your knowledge so that we may be able to shine out in this world. We also ask you to bless all the people, those who are affected by coronavirus. May all of them find peace and joy and get a hope and new life. For this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. So dear participants, as we are going to start this program, wishing you all the best. God bless you all. May this program enlighten us, enrich us, so that you may be able to share these thoughts to outside and other people. So wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Ma'am, shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Romans 15:7 says, welcome one another as Christ welcomed you. I, Nicodemus Bhaskaran, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship, take immense pleasure in welcoming everyone to this wonderful webinar, organized by St. Joseph College of Arts and Science, COVOP, conducted by the Departments of Corporate Secretaryship, Business Administration, and Accounting and Finance on Education 4.0. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Our management strongly believes that and made us to conduct this webinar to next level process of educating the minds of today's world. I am sure with the blessing of our founder, Reverend Father Dr. J.E. Aruraj, and a pillar of support, our administrator, Reverend Sister Dr. Santiago Mary's guidance, and with the help of our principal, vice principal, and heads of various departments and strong IQAC team, this webinar will be a provoking and eye-opener to all the participants. Once again, I wholeheartedly welcome you all to this wonderful webinar. Now, I request my head of the department and program coordinator of today's webinar, Mrs. O.S. Vedavali Srinivasan, to introduce the resource person. Ma'am.
Thank you, sir. It is a great honor for me to introduce and welcome our chief guest of this evening. Mr. Mohammed Naimullah Khan is an assistant professor in the Department of Commerce at Mazrul Ulum College, Ambur, Tirupattur district. He is in the teaching profession for the past 9 years and has immense knowledge in the accountancy, international business management, statistics, etc. He excels in technology-based teaching skills, interpersonal skills, and teamwork to be specified. He has attended many workshops and conferences. He published many papers in the leading journals as well. Today, we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to him this evening. Before I hand over the session to our resource person, I have few instructions for our super good participants. Please mute your mic and turn off your camera. Don't try to present your screen, which may interrupt the resource person screen. Please pin in the name Naeem Hemdi found in the participants list. Please, I repeat again, please pin the name Naeem MD found in the participants list. Please don't present your screen. If you have questions in the chat box or comment box, our moderator will post the question to our resource person in the question answer session after his presentation. Feedback link will be given at the end of the session in the chat and comment box. Please fill it up carefully without any errors and submit, and you will get your e-certificate immediately in your mail. Happy learning. Over to Naeem, sir.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Is it
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. A warm good evening to one and all present here. Respected R. Ruben, sir, Principal, St. Joseph's College, Arts and Science. Dr. K. Santiago Mary, Madam, Administrator. Professor O.S. Vedavalli, Madam, Head, bcom Corporate Secretaryship Department. Professor M. Christiana, Madam, Head, Accounting and Finance Department. Professor B. Geeta, Madam, Head, BBA. Professor Nicodemus, sir, the IQAC team, and the technical staff members, and all the participants. It actually gives me an immense pleasure to be a resource person for this webinar titled Education 4.0. And I hope that this particular webinar will be an eye-opener to each and every one of you. And now, the present situation of this COVID-19 has resulted in so many kind of problems and created so many kinds of issues in the field of education, and how this education field and how the teachers can make their students gain knowledge and upgrade their skills. It will be explained to you through the help of this very particular webinar by title called Education 4.0. Okay, so now without any further ado, I'll move on with my presentation. Ma'am, can I start?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, is the PowerPoint visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so first and foremost thing will be the introduction with regard to our topic, which will be Education 4.0. In the case of Education 4.0, like basically we'll start up with the meaning of this term education. So primarily speaking about education, it is about acquiring knowledge, skills, and beliefs for doing various jobs and sharing of knowledge with other individuals. And there was a time when education was meant for gaining knowledge, for gathering knowledge, and the students, the faculty members, they actually had a kind of mindset that they got to excel, they got to gain knowledge, they got to gather knowledge. But the current situation is completely changed. That is, if you look into a student, he basically looks out, that is after his higher secondary education, he looks out for a course which gives him the best possible placement, and at the same time which is a lucrative, which gives him a lucrative pay package. And on the contrary side, if you look into the perspective of a faculty member, they basically feel that like my duty is actually to make the student learn, get 10% results, and my job is done. So that is what is happening in the current situation, the current scenario, and especially in our country, India, which is of a developing stature. This particular perspective among the student and faculty community, it is not that good, but still this is the mindset which is prevalent or existent among most of us. Okay, so with this particular introduction, I'll move on with my very first slide, which is, if you just have a look at this very particular picture, the basic understanding which you would get about this particular picture is that, like, there is an old man who's reading a newspaper, and there are some other people who are doing some job or work, and basically you may feel it may be a restaurant or something, or a tea stall or something. But actually speaking, this particular image, it is actually about a cigar factory in Florida. And this particular old man, he is actually a lector or a reader, lector, which means that in olden times, when there were a huge number of workers working in a factory, in order to avoid boredom among the members, this particular situation was there. That is, there was a lecturer who would be reading that particular newspaper, and he'll be ensuring that the people who are working or doing job, they do not get bored, and they get knowledge, and they keep on gaining some knowledge or the other. Okay, but if you look into the present situation or the present scenario, this particular reader job, it is not available anywhere in any part of the world actually. Okay, so why I have displayed this particular image, the reason behind that is that, like, in the case of industrial revolution, when industrial revolution comes, each and every time there is one particular job or a set of jobs that completely gets eliminated. So as a result, I can quite easily say that when there is advancements happening in the field of industry, normally what happens is that there are a few jobs that actually gets eliminated. And actually, I have seen an article in which it was clearly told that by 2025 to 2030, there will be more of artificial intelligence, there will be more of robotics. As a result, the basic jobs like of a driver, the basic job of a receptionist, the basic job of a telemarketer, that will get eliminated by 2030 maximum. And this job will be performed by robots. So this was the situation which was actually told. So by this, we can get a clear-cut understandability, or we can get a clear picture that through industrial revolution, like, there is so much of upgradations, advancements happening, and we being the individuals who are in this advanced scenario, we got to upgrade ourselves, we got to update ourselves, and we should always keep our minds open. We cannot say that we are not open to it. Okay, so now moving on. So if you look into the industrial revolution stages, like in the case of your first industrial revolution, which happened somewhere around 1784, like it was about water and steam powered mechanical manufacturing facilities. Okay, and the second industrial revolution, it was actually about electrically powered mass production based on division of labor. And thirdly, we had Industrial Revolution 3.0, which was about electronics and information technology. And presently, we have got Industrial Revolution 4.0, which is about cyber physical systems. Like, for example, we have got artificial intelligence, we have got big data, we have got robotics, like so many things are there. It is about Industrial Revolution 4.0. And if you just look into some of the advancements which has taken place in industrial revolution and how it is impacting the education field or the education sector, we'll just quickly have a look at this. Artificial intelligence is one of the most important things. Artificial intelligence in education will make online learning accessible and feasible to all. It will be like a personalized tutor. Say for instance, like in this COVID-19, so many of our faculty members who were very much believing in chalk and talk method. Like, most importantly, most or majority of the faculty members, they believe in this chalk and talk method. But with this COVID-19 scenario or this situation, what happened was, like, we are getting used to the various techniques or technology in the field of education. And from that, we can say one of the examples will be about your Google Classroom. Okay, so through your Google Classroom, if you might have used that particular platform for sharing the information or inputs with your students, then you might have seen that like you can give assignments to your students, you can share your YouTube link with your students, and you can evaluate your students assignments. The students can submit the assignments, you can grade your students, you can conduct the online quizzes to your students. So many things can be done. And how it is a possibility? It is only with the help of your artificial intelligence. And secondly, if you look into the second important concept with regard to your Industrial Revolution 4.0, it is your big data. And if you look into the meaning of this big data can expose the capabilities of learners, predict their future performances, and offer assistance for educational organizations to make strategic decisions, which means that about the future performances. Like over here, since we are dealing with education, about a candidate, like how will be his performance by looking into this present trends, how would be his future performances, and how will he be excelling in this education field or not, in a particular specialization, what will be his interest, will he excel, will he not, that can be easily found out with the help of your big data. And thirdly, we have got IoT. The abbreviation for this IoT is Internet of Things. And a simple example for this one will be about your research. Like there was a situation, like if you look into 3 to 4 decades back, so there was a situation that the people who were carrying out researches, like they had to move from one place to another, they had to move from different institutions to institutions, from one organization to another organization, from library to gather data. But through this Internet of Things, what is happening? You can collect data in a quite easier manner by using your Google platform. You can type the things which are needed to you, the information which is required to you, and you can easily gather your data. So that is why it is being told over here in the explanation, fully remote physical education. And fourthly, it is about blockchain technology. Okay, so if you look into the explanation part, blockchain technology provides a universally secure and accessible ledger for personal data and credentials. Like say, for example, if I take an example of UGC net, like previously they were using this barcodes for verification purpose, and with the advancement of this Industrial Revolution 4.0, there are a fewer organizations who are using this blockchain technology for verifying your certificates, whether you have an authentic document or not, whether you have forged anything or something of that sort. It can be easily verified with the help of your blockchain technology. And fifth thing will be cloud computing. In the case of your cloud computing, like say for instance, like previously, like we had to take a CD, or we had to take a DVD, or we had to take a pen drive alongside with us for copying any information or data. But for now, you need not carry any hardware alongside with you. If you have got your mail ID, you can attach your file with it, and if the file, if it is of a huge size, then you can add that file to your Google Drive, and through with the help of your cloud computing, you can access that particular information or that data at any point of time. So that is also a new advancement through your Industrial Revolution 4.0. And lastly, we have got this robotics, which is through this robotics, there is education technology to a new level, creating the next evolution in teaching. That's because in introducing robotics to schools means making STEM skills. So primarily you may feel STEM, is this something related to botany or something? No. STEM, the abbreviation for this will be science, technology, engineering, and maths. Okay, so for teaching this science, technology, engineering, and maths, robots are being used. And one of the best examples will be, we have got one of the schools by name called Indus Schools in Bangalore, and they use a robo by name called Eagle 2.0 to teach physics to 8th and 9th grade class students. Okay, so by this, what is happening is that, like, the robots are teaching the information relating to science, technology, engineering, maths to the students. And you may have a doubt actually, like when robots are being used, what will be the role of the teacher? So the teacher will actually play the role of a facilitator. Okay, so the teacher will be helping out the students, because emotionally the teachers can motivate the students, they can teach the student as to what they'll have to do, do in such a way that they perform their task or they execute their particular task. The robots, they can give all the information relevant to the fields, but the actual emotional part, the facilitating part, that can be done with the help of the teacher. Okay. Then now moving on with our next slide, which will be about never stop learning. Because industrial revolution, from the previous slides which we have seen, we come to a proper conclusion that we cannot say we are putting an end to learning. So I do remember a proverb which goes like this: learning is an unending process. It starts the day we are born and it ends the day we die. So that is why right from your birthday till the day we die, learning should go on. Like at times there are a few people who say that, like, I have completed my graduation, that's it, I'm not going to continue with my education. I have completed my post graduation, or I have completed my PhD, my doctoral studies, or I have completed my DLit, so I'll not move on with my learning. That is complete, I'm putting a full stop to it. You cannot say so, because learning is an unending process. Each and every day is a new learning experience. So learning cannot be stopped at any point of time, and that too in this industrially revolutionized situation, learning should go on and on, further and further. Then moving on with our next slide, which is about the versions which we have got in our education. If you look into our industrial revolution, like we have same industrial revolution 4.0. Similar to that, we have also got version 4.0 in education as well. Okay, so in the case of your version 1.0 in education, it was about rote memorization, which is the teacher will give the information to the students, they'll teach in the class, the student will memorize, and he'll produce that in the examination. So that was education 1.0. And secondly, version 2.0, it is actually about electronic media. By using electronic media, you will gather the information and you use it for your learning purpose. And in the case of your education 3.0, it completely dealt in about creativity, and 4.0, it is about innovation. So precisely speaking, if we look into our very own country, India, the first two versions, that is quite fine, that is quite okay, but creativity and innovation, it still lags in majority of our students. They lack this creativity and innovation. And you may be familiar with this scenario. Until the schooling, the students, they'll be given some important questions, the repeated questions, they'll learn that from their textbooks, and they'll get sentence, they'll get through in their examinations. But for now, the education doesn't demand the individuals who have got sentence, who have excelled in their subjects, or who have got highest marks in their academics. It actually involves creativity and innovation. Individual, a student, if he wants to get into a good job and if he wants to get into a good employment with a good pay package, then he got to have creativity, and at the same time he should also incorporate innovative practices in his field of activity. So our next thing will be about the meaning of education 4.0. So there are so many varied things or varied definitions or meanings related to your education 4.0. Precisely speaking about your education 4.0, it is a response which moves in parity to industrial revolution. So as we are all familiar, industrial revolution, it is actually about what are the advancements happening in your industrial sector. In parity to that, education should also move on. Say, for instance, if the industry is moving further and further, and if it has reached the pinnacle, and if education, if it is lagging behind, then what would happen is that our country's economy, it will be moving down and down, and it will not proceed further and further. So that is why, in parity to the industrial norms, whatever version the industry is getting upgraded to, the education system should also get upgraded. So that is the actual meaning of your education 4.0. So our next thing will be about features of education 4.0. Okay, so if we look into the very first thing, it will be about learning through e-learning apps. Okay, so in this COVID situation, Like we have come across varied learning apps. That is, we have got this Google Classrooms. We have got so many like video calling apps like Zoom. We have got this Google Meet. We have got this Google Hangouts. We have got WebEx. We have got YouTube live streaming. So many things are available. So this is one of the most important features of your Education 4.0. That is, if there is no possibility for your normal classroom teaching, then e-learning apps can be utilized for sharing of knowledge with your student community. And the second thing, if you look into it, it is about students determine what to learn. Like say, for example, when students come to a class, a normal classroom in a college, then we have a timetable. We actually have a day order system, and we'll have a timetable. And based on the timetable, the faculty is like they'll move on an hourly basis. But in the case of your Education 4.0, if it is an e-learning system, if it is an online system, then the students, like they will decide what to learn. Like today I'll be learning this accounting paper, tomorrow I'll be learning this practical oriented paper, tomorrow I'll be learning this particular thing. So the decision making authority, it will be in the hands of the students. So that is also one of the important components of your Education 4.0. Then third thing will be project based learning. Project based learning in the sense like we have got a proper syllabus, and based on that, like we can give our students a particular topic for research. Like say, for example, like you may choose marketing, you may choose finance. Like since I belong to commerce stream, like I am choosing my specializations and I'm giving my specialization oriented examples. Like you can you can choose the field of marketing, and from marketing you can choose customer satisfaction or the individual's happiness relating to one particular product. And that individual student, he can do an intense learning with regard to that particular topic, and he can arrive at conclusions, and he can be a specialist in that field of activity. So by this method also, the teachers or the faculty members or the educators, they can develop the best specialty or the specialization in their students. And the fourth thing will be internships and collaborative projects. So if we speak about internships, like most of the courses, like in the case of science and arts oriented courses, internships are very much meager. They are very less compared to engineering colleges, compared to some professional courses. Internships are huge in number. But in the case of some arts and science colleges, internships are very less. But remember, in Education 4.0, internships and collaborative projects are very important, because through this internships, the individual student, like he personally visits various organizations, various offices, and he looks into the workability or the working situation or the working scenario as to what is happening, and he will get the hands-on experience as to what is what. Okay, so that is why the colleges, the educational institutions or the universities, they should get into a memorandum of understanding, and they should get into a MOU with various top-notch companies, and they should get into an internship, so that the students who are getting the graduation from their organizations, from their institutions, they would also be excelling when they get into the job market. Okay, then moving on with the next thing, which is knowledge testing through field projects and assignment. So when you are giving, that is, if you want to conduct an examination, it can be with the help of an assignment. Like by giving an assignment, you can quite easily judge, or you can easily find out the potentiality, the caliber of the student, whether he is capable of doing this very particular job or not. So that can be done with the help of your knowledge testing. Okay, then framing syllabi and curriculum by students. So for now, the situation is that there will be a senior faculty member, that is a senior professor, like he'll be there as a chairman of the board, and supported by various other individuals. Like they will be framing the syllabi, and whatever they feel fit, they will be putting it through in the particular paper syllabus. But actually speaking, in the case of Education 4.0, it actually speaks that, it tells that the students should get every right to frame the syllabus. That is, they know the importance as to what is important, what they are interested into learning. So that is why students should get every possible right to frame the syllabus for their area of learning. And nextly, we have got teachers becoming facilitators. Okay, so we are now into a situation whereby we are actually spoon feeding our students. Okay, so in the case of spoon feeding, we actually give them all the notes, like right from the each and every section which is there in the question paper. We give them each and everything. So as a result, what is happening is that the students, they are very dormant, they are very passive, they are not actively taking part in the education. They feel that I'll get minimum like passing marks, I'll be a graduate, and I'll land up into a job, I'll start working. So the actual thinking should be that the teachers, rather than acting as a spoon feeders or giving the notes to the students or helping the students out frequently by like spoon feeding them frequently, what they can do is that they can act as a facilitators. Facilitators in the sense, you can give your student a topic and you can help him out. Like, this is how you got to do it. You got to do it in this particular way. Only then you would get knowledge or the skill. You got to say, only then the student, he would develop his knowledge and he can shine in the his area of specialization or in his degree. Then moving on with the next slide, which is about skills for education 4.0 as predicted by World Economic Forum. Okay, so what are the various skills required for education 4.0? If you just have a look at this, we have got somewhere around 10 different skills for education 4.0, which is predicted by World Economic Forum. The very first thing will be complex problem solving. Like this particular thing, complex problem solving, it is about the social issues. Like we have got so many things like poverty alleviation, unemployment problems, or something of that sort, like deforestation which is happening. So how it can be solved? Like say for example, if one of your students, if he becomes a IAS officer, then how he'll be solving these problems? Only if his foundation is good, if his platform is good, only if he has been given a problem solving situations when he was pursuing his school level education or college level education, only then when he reaches that particular mark or when he reaches a particular category, he may be in a position to sort out the things. Then second thing will be critical thinking. Critical thinking in the sense, identifying the problem, okay, and finding out the reason as to why this problem has crept in, like finding out the varied solutions and selecting the best solution to solve the problem. So that will be critical thinking. And creativity, research and development, that is frequently happening. So each and every individual, he should actually have this creativity, without which he cannot shine in his area of interest. People management in the sense, like if an individual, if he is into a position of an HR, then how will he be managing his manpower, how he'll be managing his subordinates? Okay, because what kind of leadership quality which he'll be using, whether he'll be using autocratic leadership style or a democratic leadership style, it actually matters the most. So that will be about people management. Teamwork, how to get work done from the people, so that will be about teamwork. So if one is not performing, how to get work from him, so that will be about teamwork. Then emotional intelligence, this is one of the most important aspects of your education 4.0. That is in the case of emotional intelligence, like as an individual, we'll be having various mood swings. Okay, so at every juncture we should be in a situation to control our emotions. Like say for example, at times becoming so much of extrovert, at times becoming so much of introvert, and at times lashing out your subordinates, at times being very friendly with your subordinates. This is not that a good thing of a individual who's there in an organization holding an important position. So that is why emotional intelligence should be very much considered or should be given the due importance by an individual when he is working in an organization. Then moving on with the next thing, which is decision making. So what kind of decision which you are taking, whether it is beneficial for the organization, whether it is beneficial for your subordinates, so you should analyze it and you should move on with that particular decision. Then service orientation in the sense, the social responsibility, that is we are living in this society and what is the contribution which we are making in this society. Okay, so we are earning our livelihood from this particular society and working in various organizations, so we should also be socially aware about our role in a society. What is the contribution from our side? So that is about your service orientation. Then next one will be negotiation. Negotiation in the sense like at times of like pay package discussions and all, like as a higher executive, you got to be familiar with negotiations, which means how to convince your subordinates, how to get the work done from them, and how to convince them. So that will be your negotiation skills. And the final thing will be cognitive flexibility, which means that when you are holding an important position, you will be coming across 2 or 3 important like situations. Like there may be 2 or 3 urgent problems to be sorted out. So in that very particular situation, you cannot ignore or you cannot give due priority to one particular thing, and you cannot eliminate that, because in Industrial Revolution 4.0, you should move on with the pace. So that is why how you tackle the situation, how would you balance the situation, that will be about your cognitive flexibility. So these are the various skills which are very much important, or these are the things which should be inculcated in each and every student, so that they are like getting groomed into a perfect individual and a kind of an individual who is best suited for the job market. So the next thing will be about adaptability towards education 4.0. Okay. So in this particular adaptability, like personalized way of learning, we have already seen through various learning platforms, through various apps, like that can be easily done. Struggling students to get optimized learning strategies, which means that like there are students who are exemplary performers, there are a few students who are a bit average, and there are a few students who are not that good in education or in studying. So those individuals, they should be given the due importance, and that is the prime highlight in your education 4.0. Okay, so he should be given the optimized learning strategies and how he can excel in his education. These tips has to be given by the faculty members, so that every student of his class is excelling and no one is getting standard or backed out. Next thing will be each student as an individual. So basically in arts and science colleges, one particular class, we have got like 70 students or 75 students, and we treat each and everyone equal. But actually, precisely speaking, each and every student, he has got his own amount of mindset, his own amount of understandability. So that is why as an educator, as a facilitator, we should ensure that we should give prime importance. Like say for example, if we find that one student, like if he is lagging behind or if he is very average or something, then we should try to give the individual attention to that individual. Okay, there have been talks for students selecting modules from different programs. Okay, like say for instance, if it is a bcom course, like we have got like various subjects like accounting papers, various theoretical papers, something of that sort. But in education 4.0, there have been so many things which have been told. We will not be restricting our students to one particular area of specialization only. Like say for instance, if a student has chosen bcom, he should also get an opportunity if he is interested to study chemistry, or if he is interested to study physics, or if he is interested to study history or geography, then he should get an opportunity to select the module from different programs also. That should also be given a possibility, and that is the thing which is being told in your education 4.0, but still it is in talks, it has not been finalized still. Then molding students to choose various career options. That is, as educators, we are familiar as to what is the potentiality of our student. Like say for example, a few students they'll be good in culturals, a few students they'll be good in writing, a few students they'll be good in oratory. So as an educator, we should try to tap or bring out the best in each and every individual student, and we should ensure that he chooses that particular career options. Because if a person chooses a profession in which he has got good amount of passion or a sound amount of like a strongness or strength in a particular area of activity, then it will be a win-win situation. If you choose anything in which you are very much strong or sound, then if you get a same kind of a job, then it will be a win-win situation. So that is why the educators should choose various career options, and they should actually mold the students in choosing the career options basically. Then gradual shifts through education 4.0. which is that demand led instead of supply led, which means that if we are moving towards this education 4.0, we cannot say that so we have got like 1 lakh or 2 lakh students who have completed bcom, like these many graduates are available, so there has to be 2 lakh accounting jobs available. We cannot say that way, because through this industrial revolution 4.0, whatever is the industrial need, based on that we got to equip our students, we got to groom our students. So that is why it is being clearly told demand led instead of supply led. So we shouldn't say this is what we are offering, we shouldn't say that way. We should say whatever is there in the market, we are ready to supply that. Then the second thing will be competency based instead of knowledge based, which means that the student should be competent enough, which means that what is the industrial standard, whether he has got the potentiality to survive in the industry. Like say for instance, when he goes in for an interview, has he got the capability of facing a group discussion? Has he got the capability of meeting the HR and having a one-on-one conversation? Is he good in communication skills? So these are all the competencies which the individual student should have. Only then he can survive in the job market, or he will get into a good job. So that is what is being told, competency based instead of knowledge based. Like say for instance, like we as educators, we may have a myth that is a student who has frequently scored 100 percentile, or who has got outstanding grades, like he'll definitely get into a job. So that is actually a wrong notion. Actually, an individual who has got very minimal grades, who has got only just pass marks, he may get into a good job, he may land into a good job, rather than the individual who is good in academics, because he may be competent enough to survive in the job market, but the student who is good in academics, he may be lagging in this competency stuff. So that is why competency based education, it has to be imparted. Third thing will be lifelong learning attitude, which this we have already seen. Learning, it cannot be ended at any point of time. Learning should move and further. Learning should not be curtailed, or it cannot be stopped at any point of time. Fourth thing will be more focus on EQ than IQ. EQ we have already seen just now, which is emotional quotient. Emotional quotient, which means that individual, he'll have different mood swings, but he should try to control it based on the situation, based on the scenario. He should adapt and he should exhibit himself. Okay, so IQ beforehand, like this was there, intelligence quotient, but more than IQ, EQ is very important for now. And the last thing will be purposefulness. Like say for instance, like there are so many freshers or the first year students, after completing their schooling, they get into the college. And in the first day of class, if the faculty members, if they ask a student like, what is your goal, or what is your aim, what is your target, he'll just like that scratch his head and say like, no idea, I have not set any goals or something of that sort. So the main thing is that a student, he should have an aim, he should have a target. So that is actually your education 4.0. That is, you should be focused. It should not be the case that you should be wavered. Like hundreds of people will say this field is best, this field is good, this is okay, but whatever is that particular individual's liking, he should move on with it. And most importantly, he should have a goal or target in his life. Okay. Then the next thing will be about the merits of education 4.0. So if we look into the merits of education 4.0, the very first merit would be teachers tend to know about new learning methods. So in this COVID-19 situation, so many faculty members, they are enrolling themselves in various FDP programs for ICT tools and for various webinars, and they are learning about the newer technologies, the newer trends, what is happening, and they are upgrading and updating themselves. So this is one of the merits of your education 4.0. Secondly, enhances the knowledge of teachers and students. That is very true. Like the teachers and the students through this education 4.0, they are enhancing their knowledge, that is for sure. Developing innovative methods. Okay, so when you are learning some newer things, then various ideas, newer concepts will get into your mind, and you may try to incorporate innovative practices towards your students. And so that will also a good thing or a merit of your education 4.0. Then higher student participation. Like in the case of class, there may be a few students who are very much actively listening to your class or your lecture. There may be dormant participants. There may be a few students who are physically present or mentally absent. But in the case of your online classes, like the participation level of your students, it will be very high, and everything will move on very smoothly, and the results from the perspective of the teachers and the students, it will be very good. Okay, then the next thing will be learning at needed pace. Okay, so the student actually can decide. So today I'll be learning for somewhere around 30 minutes or 1 hour. Today I'm eager or inquisitive to learn for 2 or 3 hours. So at his very own pace or his own speed, he can decide like what is to be learned and when it is to be learned. And the next thing will be cost containment for organization. So there are so many top-notch companies, like when they recruit people, like initially before making the people go on the floor of work, they conduct induction programs. If through the modern techniques and trends, if we the educators, if we are molding our students, or if we are educating our students beforehand itself, then the organization, they can curtail their cost to the greater extent, and they can concentrate on various other activities for the well-being of their very own organization, or for the well-being of the staff, or for the well-being of the society as well. Okay, so this was the merits of your education 4.0. Then looking into your demerits of education 4.0, the very first demerit which we have got is accepting newer teaching methodologies. Okay, so the very first thing will be that there are a few teachers who are very much reluctant. They may say, no, I'm not accepting to it. So in this COVID-19 situation, like so many faculty members, they might have not got into any webinar, any FDP programs. They might have been enjoying this a vacation, saying that like I'm the senior most faculty, no one is there to question me, I'll not update myself, I'm getting my salary, that is fine for me. So this is one of the demerits of your education 4.0. But as a faculty, as an educator, we cannot put a full stop to learning at any point of time. Whatever is the age which we are in, whatever is the scenario or situation, we got to keep our minds open, we got to upgrade ourselves, we got to update ourselves frequently, and we got to match our industrial trends. Only if we update ourselves, the future generation, the future leaders, that is the students, they will get the knowledge from us, and they'll be incorporating that in their job market. Secondly, social detachment. Like say for instance, if we are frequently using this education 4.0, what will happen is that the students may have a kind of lethargicness. They may say, so this particular topic is already available in that YouTube channel, or this particular thing is already there. So why should I like listen to this faculty? They may attend to that particular quiz, and he may act as if though he might have attended to it. So that is why, like when we are frequently using this online platforms, like the participation, whether the student is keen or particular about this, that may not be that much well known to us. Then technology availability. Okay, so in our country, India, like every now and then there is circulars which have been circulated from the Ministry of Human Resource Development, from the Ministry of Higher Education. They frequently say that like online classes has to be conducted, but we do not look into the secondary aspect, which is whether the student is having the due requirements. Okay, so if we look into our very own state, Tamil Nadu, to an extent, our Tamil Nadu government, like they are giving some laptops to our students for online learning, for e-learning stuff. But we cannot expect the same thing in various other states, because in different parts of India, like there are students in some interior places, in rural places, they do not have the facility of a high-speed internet facility. They do not have the high-end gadgets, economically weak. They cannot afford high-end laptops or high-end gadgets. So what should be their plight? So in the situation, this can be treated as a demerit of your education 4.0. And the next thing will be like most of the students, they say that if we want to introduce this education 4.0 in our system, then there has to be faculty 4.0, which means that the faculty should also be upgraded to that particular extent or to that particular norm. Okay, And recently, you might have seen in the previous year, National Education Policy, which was proposed by K. Kasuri Rangan Committee, comprising of 9 members. It was submitted to the Ministry of Human Resource Development, and they have given so many recommendations. Like they have changed the grades of the schools. They have like recommended the change in name of the ministry names, and about the qualifications should be possessed. So many things they have predicted in their draft policy. But the most important aspect which is missing every time, which is getting missed, is that about the faculty development. That is, the ministries, they put across that, like, if you want to be a faculty at a college, then you definitely got to have either net or set, or you got to have doctorate. If not, if you want to be a teacher at a school, then you compulsorily have to complete your bachelor of education. Alongside with that, you got to complete your TET. Only then you will be getting into aided postings. But there are so many people who are qualified, who are waiting in the queue, but they are not in a position to get into that particular level. And this may be a big bottleneck for the upgradation of the faculty, because the faculty members who are there in aided streams, they are paid a handsome pay package, they are satisfied with it, with the 7th pay commission. But those individuals who are qualified, who are waiting in queue, they do feel that, like, I am also doing the very much the same work, but I am least paid. In interior places, in rural places, the faculties are very much least paid, but still they are doing their work, and there is reluctance on their part. Like, if there is, when it comes to some kind of upgradation or any kind of advancement, they say that whatever pay package which I am getting, in parity to that, I'll work. More than that, I'll not suffocate or put more burden towards myself. So that is why it is on the part of the government to ensure that, to create various opportunities, to create various avenues for the people who are qualified enough and waiting for their opportunities. And there has to be various governmental jobs at various educational institutions that has to be created, so that each and every qualified individual gets into his particular spot and contributes towards the development of the education system. Okay. And a quote which is told by Malcolm X, which is, education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So from this quote, it is very much clear that in the future, if you want to excel in your life, then education will be the key factor. So if you develop yourself with the help of education, with the advancement which is happening, if you groom yourself, if you update or upgrade yourself, definitely you would reach the topmost position, or you would reach the pinnacle in your life. So that is why in each and every individual's life, either it be a individual who's working in an organization, a person who's serving in an administrative job, a person who's a faculty, a student, any kind of an individual, he should not stop learning. So learning is very important. If an individual is learning frequently, then definitely his success level or his success rate, one day or the other, that will happen for sure. So thank you, one and all. So this was my presentation with regard to Education 4.0, and hope it might have given you some relevant information relating to this topic. And at last, I would like to thank the management, the principal, the administrator, the HODs of various departments, and the technical staff involved in this webinar for making this particular event happen, and choosing me as the resource person for this event. So now it will be a question answer session. Over to you, Vedavali madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Very, very informative session we had. I hope the chat box is poured with so much of appreciations for you, sir. Nicodemus, sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you can just clarify some of the doubts and the questions which was raised in the chat box.
Sure, ma'am. So, first of all, it was a nice and neat presentation, sir. Thank you so much. The first question is, due to the current pandemic, a lot of schools are going to e-learning kind of education. Whether that is useful for the students and what impact will it create?
Definitely, like this will be useful to the students for sure, because basically we have education, whereas in the case of education institutions we have vacations, but this is an uncertain situation. The exams have been halted, and the teachers, they cannot share their inputs or knowledge with the student community. Definitely this particular e-learning system, it will be helpful to the students for sure. And in the future also, e-learning, if it is there, definitely it will be helpful. But at the same time, classroom learning, it cannot be it cannot be let gone, because classroom learning is also very important, because the traditional methods, that is also important, and at the same time the upgradation, that is also very important. So both the things should go hand in hand actually.
Yes, sir. The second next question is, if you say we'll have robotic classes and teachers will play a role of facilitator, I feel that they are losing emotional attachments. What is your opinion about it?
No, actually speaking, for I have clearly told you that the robotics for now in India, like it is used for this STEM level teaching, which is for science, technology, and for engineering and maths. And I have clearly told in my presentation as well that, like, if robots are being used, they don't have any emotional attachment towards the students. They can give you loads and loads of information, but the emotional connect, that is possible only with the help of teacher, because he's the only person who has got the emotional thinking. Like, he knows the psychology of the student, he can better motivate the student. So that is why faculty members importance, that will not be lost at any point of time. Whatever is the robots which are being used, robotic systems which is being used, definitely the role of faculty members, it cannot be compromised at any point of time. Yes.
Third question, sir.
Yes.
My question is that most of the students who live in rural area, they do not have an internet facility. So on that point, they're asking the question, sir.
So already in my presentation, actually, I have told this, which is that, like, it is actually one of the demerits actually. So in this particular pandemic, like, everyone, when they're thinking about this online learning, e-learning, when they're thinking about this, like, what should be done is that the government in the years to come, they should be a kind of a facilitator. They should allocate funds for the well-being of the students, and the students who belong to weaker sections, for those students, they should give the advanced techniques, or what you call, like, they should be provided with laptops, they should be provided with like high-end gadgets like mobile phones, like, with some restrictions. Like, say for instance, for now, the students, if they get high-end gadgets, like, they tend to deviate their mind towards some entertainment thing, like they start playing PUBG or TikTok, this, that, and all, they get into that. But with certain kind of limitations with it, with some softwares installed with it, only meant for learning. If the government gives provisions to the students, definitely this e-learning or online learning will be helpful. Yes.
Okay, so next question. Due to the advancing technology, it has got its merits and demerits as well. If e-learning is good in one sense, on the other hand, also making the students a bit tiresome as well. For example, continuously sitting in front of the system. So what is your point on it?
So that is actually they're continuously sitting nearby to the system. But in the case of Industrial Revolution 4.0, the usage of systems, the usage of high-end gadgets, that is very much important as well. Because if we say that, like, if we are not going to incorporate this e-learning systems, then basically what would happen is that, like, there will not be an upgradation in the student, because if he doesn't know how to operate a system, if he doesn't know to operate the various softwares, like, whatever upgradations are happening in his job environment, then he'll be a laggard individual. He would say that, sir, I'm not that fine with this particular stuff. Then he may be removed from his office, stating that, like, he is not that talented enough. So that is why there has to be a bit of limitation. At the same time, we cannot just like that give a easier thing to this e-learning or online learning. It has to, as I have already told you, the traditional methods and the online stuff, it has to go hand in hand actually.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. The next question is, whether Education 4.0 is benefit for Industrial 4.0. If so, what ways it will be useful?
So in the case of Education 4.0, when I told you about the meaning, already have told you Education 4.0, it is one of the component of Industrial Revolution 4.0. Okay, so whatever is the need in the industry, based on that, it has been devised or designed. And if there is upgradation, that is, if the organizations, that is the education institutions, if they are incorporating this Education 4.0, the students will be upgrading themselves. They'll be learning so many newer things, but there has to be a limitation, which means that like only like the study content, the content which is related to your education, that if they learn, that will be well and good. But in between, if they deviate their minds, then it may have some consequences. And like as we are all familiar, like so many parents, they say that my son or daughter, like they are frequently hooked to this mobile phone or computers frequently, they keep playing games, this, that, and all. So that is why as faculty members, we should motivate students to use the high-end gadgets, but only for the sake of education, not for any other thing. Yes.
So last question. Our students are hearing impaired and most of them are from rural areas. How can we implement this e-learning except very few others require spoon feeding?
Can you come again with the question?
Our students are hearing impaired and most of them are from rural areas. How can we implement this e-learning except very few others require spoon feeding?
Yes. The situation is that for the individual, that is the students who are deaf and dumb, for them, like there are some specialized gadgets which are actually available. Like those gadgets can be provided to them. And at the same time, if they are belonging to rural part of our country, then what can be done is that this particular thing can be represented to the higher officials, that is to the DM, and it can be clearly told that we are in need of these technologies or these things, because no one can be lagging behind. A person or an individual student who is belonging to city or a town or a village or a municipality, any place, like he should not be in a situation that he is not getting educated or he is not getting or gaining knowledge. So education is meant for all. So that is why if this is not happening or the advancements that is not being made available, then proper representations has to be made to the proper authorities so that everything can be done in an easier manner. Yes.
Okay, so questions are over. And finally, I would like to call one comment from Dr. Ponamal, English Department HOD of St. Joseph College. She has commented, it is highly motivating, inspirational and informative, sir. Got fueled and spirited to run the race. Yes, true, sir. Educators should not be reluctant to learning. Well said. Great session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Among the participants, they got the comment, sir. Ma'am, over to you. Vedoli, ma'am.
I request our Christina ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
I, Christina, heading the Business Administration Department, let me propose a vote of thanks. And everything give thanks. It's my immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. First of all, I like to thank God Almighty for giving me an opportunity to conduct this webinar. I would like to thank our resource person who honored this webinar with his inspirational thoughts on innovation, Education 4.0. Thank you, sir. And also, I thank our sister, Dr. Sandhya, who has been a moral support and motivated to conduct this webinar. A special thanks to her. And I thank the principal, Dr. R. Ruben. An extreme thank to the technical crew who has supported us for the smooth conduct of this program. Once again, I thank one and all the participants for the active participation. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants can fill the feedback link which has been given in the chat box and also in the comment box. We thank all our participants in the Google Meet as well as in the YouTube live streaming.
Hmm.
Nicodemus, sir, please
Yes, ma'am.
unmute.